G'day guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So obviously had a pretty successful day yesterday at the Bad Ideas RDO sessions, had an absolute killer day. So moving on from that, we've got another 3-day weekend coming up with some more content on working on the cars. So today we've got some parts during the week that we can start fitting, which I'll show you in a sec. But I thought I would also unveil my new car today. Put that finally in the video. So let's take a look at what I bought, and then we'll have a look at some of these parts we're going to be fitting this weekend, and yeah, hopefully we get all this done. Alrighty guys, little Pajero Mini. This thing is the cutest little thing. It is just like a regular Pajero, but actually cool and not for sex offenders like the regular Pajeros. So she's a 660cc 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, 3-speed automatic. It does about 6,000 to 6,500 RPM to do 90 k's an hour. It is severely undergeared, severely underpowered, but I absolutely love it. Now that absolute banger of a car is out of the way. So I got a reverse camera backup kit for the UC10. Got that trim that I was waiting on still that was broken. Now also, while I was ordering that reverse camera, I thought, you know what, I might just get a ethanol content sensor as well. And then I thought, no, when I had that white BA, it had a Barra flex fuel kit. I can just steal the sensor off that, so I'll just get the adapters, the -6 to 3.8 adapters. Never actually looked for the sensor. Found the sensor today. It's already got adapters on it. So anyway, and a bracket. So might try and find my plug and wire that in as well. Got some -6 PTFE hose just so I can make some new hoses to make that all work. And then gear boot. Bought this off a fella on eBay. Does them about 50 bucks. Custom made to suit the length of my shifter, so we'll see how that goes. I think you just glue them to the underside of the trim, so we'll see if that fits. Check that out. That should probably be enough projects for me for this weekend, because I'll get distracted on everything and find a million other things to do, which may or may not involve fitting my Plasma Man fuel rail, but we'll start on the camera first and see what distracts me. Alrighty, so found the harness that goes with that sensor. So got a decent bit of wiring. Just snip the end off this and run that into my dash 34 pin. So nice and easy, just needs 12 volts, and then go to an SPI and then ground, sensor ground, so nice and easy one. Just running another cable through my little grommet though. I think that grommet's nearly at capacity. Poor little grommet down there is holding on for dear life, so I may end up cutting that out a little bit bigger. Okay, let's get the hard jobs out first. So let's have a look at this and have a look at this trim to replace that first, and then the motivation might start to flow, because I'm pretty tempted to just go home and chill out for a weekend, because I've been hammering away at this car pretty solidly. But let's rip in and just see what starts flowing. All right, so that's just placed over. It hasn't been stuck down or anything yet, but it's not bad. I probably would glue it to the underside of that. Other option is kind of maybe just like tech screw it to this. Probably run a few screws into that, but if I do that, it'll sit a little bit low. So it only just cleared the button, so yeah, had to like force it over that. So it also wants to sit a little low on there and look a little funny. I'd prefer it to sit like right up against the base of that shifter. Will probably look better. But I'll the other thing as well is, I don't know if I want to cut a slot into it maybe for that, just so it sits a little better, or maybe even cut a hole in it and just place it over that. Might just cut the tiny little slit in it and pull it over that, because that doesn't, that doesn't move heaps. It only moves that much, so we'll just cover that up a little bit. But yeah, all right, let's attach this. I had a bit of a brainwave. I might use this 100 mile an hour tape actually, because it's really sticky stuff. It's also not as permanent as trying to like super glue it or something. I think probably hot glue would probably be the best option, but I don't have a hot glue gun at work. I've got one at home I can probably bring in. But I'll give it a go with this and just see how it fits up, because I can always just peel it off and glue it later. So at least now I'll, without having to make it sort of permanent or getting glue stuck to it, be able to see what it's going to be like. So I've cut a tiny slit in that just to clear it, and it's like super tight on there. So I'm thinking I probably won't be able to tape the front edge down. I'll only be able to tape the other 3 sides. So I'll get that tape on them and just see how it turns out. Alrighty, that turned out way better than I expected. It does sit a smidge low here, so I might add a little bit more tape just on the front edge, because I didn't have really any tape there. It sits good here. Obviously I can't really glue it to the front because it's got to move, but that works in all gears, so that's pretty good. So actually really quite happy with that for the 50 bucks. It just takes a lot of the ugliness out of the car. Obviously it's still a little bit gross there, but saves having to try and find a manual shift boot, and then still having to get a boot made for it anyway, because the boot on a manual one still connects to the shifter. So yeah, that's pretty happy with that. It looks red on video, but it is definitely black in person. Like, it's the same color as the carpet basically, even though on video it looks very red. Just added that little bit of tape right there, and that looks heaps better now. So everything's good there. Everything can still move. Just would be nice to be just a little bit less loose there. But oh well, 50 bucks, it's a vast improvement. All right, so this one's just a little bit, the new one's a little bit dirty, so it's got a few little scratches on it, but I don't think you'll notice. Anyway, it's just needs a good clean, and it sits on a funny angle anyway, so you probably won't see much of it. So I'll clean it and swap it over. All right, that came up awesome with the clean. Just shows how disgusting this one was. So whack that in, see if it holds good. One of the reasons why, not only just the hole in it, but it was also a bit flimsy and a bit annoying. So I'll see if this new one clips in better. Alrighty, well, it does flap around a little bit, but at least it's not got a hole in it and gross and slimy. And anyway, so happy with that. So moving on. Guys, it's actually starting to rain now, and there's not really much room to work on the car in the workshop, so I'm probably going to pack her up there. Alrighty guys, back into it, day 2. Yeah, it started raining here yesterday, so I just had to bail off because there was no room inside. So getting stuck into the reverse camera now, starting at the boot end. Yeah, so gonna mount the camera first, get all that situated, run that into the inside of the boot, get that sorted, and then start routing the harness. Now I don't have to worry about this white wire because I have a shift position sensor, so I can leave that off. Don't need to wire that. That would go to tail lights, and then that would go in the dash to let the car know it's in reverse. But I have gear position, so I just need these 3 in the dash. Pretty easy to set up. And then whatever the dash says, the instructions for this will tell me whatever pin to run the camera input to. The dash instructions don't actually tell you, so we'll yeah, route those and I'll show you the setup. All right, so obviously in the boot lid, bit hard to sort of show that because of the brightness behind it, but I think we'll mount it to the number plate. Might just use screws and bolts coming forward, just so it's just on just the number plate, not going through the boot. Otherwise we'll end up with getting, I don't know, probably end up getting water and stuff in the boot. So probably just drill a hole in this, run into that in the boot skin, bring it across with the factory harness and out this grommet here into here. I believe we pick up that inside the boot up under the carpet, and then it should be as simple as just running it up the car. So I'll start pulling all that stuff apart. I'll probably pull this this trim off. I think it's 4 10 mils or 2 10 mils or something. Get that pulled up, figure out how big of a hole we need to drill and all that sort of stuff, and figure that out, and I'll show you what I've done. All right, so fully removed that. I'll probably have to trim a decent slot in that grommet to be able to get the wires through, but if I cut a slot in it, I can just run the wire through without having to try and poke everything through a hole. So it should be okay and should be able to reseal once it's all back together. I'll see if I can mount the actual camera mount to this rather than to the number plate, because that'll probably make my life a little bit easier as well. I may actually be able to just mount the camera directly to this instead of using that whole Haltech bracket. So we'll see what happens now, and I'll see if I can get it there. So honestly, looking at this, it's honestly just going to be better to ditch that bracket, because otherwise I have to run bolts and nuts and it looks a bit stupid. So I'll get rid of that bracket and I'll just run that camera just directly onto that black trim. Yeah, so it's going to make the most sense to just mount that directly to this. So I'll just mount that directly to that, probably pretty far up so I can just drill another hole and route the cables through it behind it. And should be nice and stealthy. It's not exactly the stealthiest camera, but it's going to be handy. Righty, so anyone with BA playing at home, there's 27 dots, so I've marked the 14th dot, which is the middle dot, so then I can count from there. So I line the middle dot to the center of the camera. We've then got 1, 2, 3.5, 1, 2, 3.5. So 10 dots either side of the bolt holes. Let's do some drilling and screw this down. Alright, first screw in. I've got the foam backing behind it, haven't peeled the peels yet, but she's looking pretty square. It's just sort of in between them. And the white dot's still in the middle, so let's drill the second hole. Alright, both holes drilled. Tiny smidge off, but there's a little bit of adjustment in the bolt holes anyway, so should be right. Alrighty, camera officially mounted. Nice and secure. Now just drill this backside out for the cable recess. Alright, cable recess done. Just snip that grommet a little bit. That'll just squish up once it's mounted, and let's just get this cable through that little grommet. Righty, so cut a little groove in it. Obviously just needed to cut a little relief for the cable to sit in. So once it's all fitted, it's just got that tiny little relief that'll all push back together, and beautiful. Alrighty, all fitted back up. Pretty stealthy. Not too obvious like it is, but it's not, whatever. Anyway, I'm happy with that. Wondering what the little loop is, because it didn't seem obvious, but if you want the lines on the screen, you cut it. If you don't cut it. I'm not cutting it because I'd rather just see the camera. So I've got my loom prepped. I've ditched the white wire in that just to keep it out of the way. Taken the pin off the black because that's got a T into my little earth connector, because I've already got stuff in my signal ground. And then I've taken off the white wire off that one too. So the routing this way through that little through this dog and out through the parcel shelf into the cabin. 90-degree pick got in there perfect and flicked that out. So same deal, it's just same plug as the top one. Right, so the harness for the taillights is all plugged back in. This is the reverse camera harness, just hanging there for now. I've started feeding this down, and that's starting to show up here, so I'll get a pick and pull that out. Hook that out with a pick, start pulling that through. It's all pulled through. Now I'm going to obviously just leave a little bit of slack here. I'll run it all the way to the dash, and then I'll reverse it back and pull the slack back into the boot, just so that it's not messy under the dash. This rubber hole's a little bit small, so it is actually getting a little tricky to try and route this through. So I'm just going to send the white wire through, back the other way, tape the new wire to that, and pull it through that way. Just using that as a like fish tape or whatever they call it for electricians. And that white wire was having dramas, so just went with something more rigid with a zip tie. So that's coming out the top. We'll tape to it and pull through. Just going to give it a good whack with the silicone spray as well, just to ensure that everything slides through nice and easy. Alright, I'll get the tripod, see if I can film pulling this through. Alright, let's see if this works. Alright, straight away pulled the cables, so let's do this again. It is in here though, so it might push through. Alrighty, yellow wire. Try and untangle it from the factory wires. Alright, and the lump. Alright, we're through. Do the little plastic. Pull the carpet up, that now comes out of the grommet. I'm going to run it under this side trim and forward. Just noticed that my spare was flat, so just going to pump that up as well while I'm here. Already spare wheel pumped up, secured, cable routed out under the seat. So I thought there was a hole or something I could use, but that looks like it's the only way to really do it. So, I'm going to come down here, go through all that. Hopefully I don't have to pull everything apart again for the 50th time. All I've taken off is the seat trim. I'll just tuck it in under this trim. I'm not pulling that trim out again because I've done that 500 times and I'm well over it. Balls. All right, now I just went and looked at the instructions again. I'm an idiot. I was treating this like a sensor. 789 is what we run to. 789 is its own separate camera section. So I didn't need to chop off the black wire because that's pin 9. Definitely not going to signal ground because that is 30. So I definitely, if you're playing along at home, definitely do not chop the black wire off like what I did. The crimp. I can add another one, that's no problem. But yeah, definitely don't do that. In my head, I was remembering doing the ethanol content, which is obviously 3-wire as well, but it is black is signal ground, red is 12 volt, white is signal to ECU, which will go to an SPI. So I definitely picked that up. I should not have done that. Yeah, because 789 aren't even labeled on this, so they're their own separate camera wires and totally separate. So yeah, definitely don't do that. Okay, so far so good. Comes through there, goes under all this, comes out here so far. So I'm just gonna route it around that, just right there where it goes around that little lug, and then up through here, and then I'll try and go behind the fuse box and up to here. So I'll probably start pulling the dash out in a sec. I'm gonna route the flex fuel harness as well at the same time and pin that into the dash as well now. So get both of those done at once. Alrighty, so I got that around everything. That's just there. That's ready to go straight up to the dash. Now I'll start on the flex harness through from the engine bay and route that to the dash. Alrighty, now I've taken off the fuel line so I can get to the grommet better. Now, sort of just push the grommet in a bit just so I can get this next wire in. But a couple of things I've noticed while I was here. I was looking at this, it looked a little odd. I'm missing a nut on the inlet manifold there. So if you look right here, that bolt stud and that nut, it's supposed to be a nut on that one, so it's definitely missing. If you look at it with a mirror, it's not there. So need to put a nut on that. Other thing I noticed was, which this will probably be even harder to film, we'll give it a go. The old knock sensor is not even plugged in, so plug is floating around somewhere in there. Yeah, anyway, plug is floating around in there, so I'll try and get that on too. Now it's on 85, so it's not really going to be detonating or anything, but good idea to just have it plugged in, just with one more piece of data to look at if I need to. But that harness for the flex fuel is pushed through. The grommet has pushed back a fair bit, so I'll try and pull it right out and cut a big hole in it and put it back in properly. See how we go. Alright, so I'll try and just pull that grommet right out and cut a proper hole in it, because it just has a tiny little groove in it. So I'll try and get a bit of a better hole in it so that we can put it back in and protect some of these wires better. I'll pull that through for now. Alright, so that is now clipped in properly, so that should be awesome. So we'll route this cable over to the other side. Drill, because I've done it 100 times. Here's my flex sensor wiring. Alrighty, I've shown this a million times, so I'm just going to connect all the wires off camera because it's annoying to film this, and I've showed this 100 times. So I'll get this dash out, put all the pins in the connectors, and what I'll probably do is just show you putting them in the connectors in the right spots, just so I can go back and check it. If I've messed anything up, I'll know what I've done wrong. What I might actually do that I hadn't done yet is I might hook the Wi-Fi antenna up. I've heard the Wi-Fi sucks, but I might have a play with it myself. I think I can mess with the phone app, and otherwise I can connect my laptop to it, maybe Wi-Fi. I'll have a look, see what it does. Might be an easier way to pull logs out of the car without having to plug into the ECU, because I might set the dash up to log as well. Anyway, that's all we need to get to, just that connector, and chuck those pins in. I just had a USB cable floating around, so I just sent that down there, fell down here, tape the camera to that, pull that up through, and then probably do the same with the flex sensor, just send something down that hole and pull it up. I'd tape that to this. I couldn't work out why I couldn't pull it through. Have a look at this. I shot the bloody USB cable through this hole. So I might untape it and do it again. Got that sent through, all good. Got that, that's the flex sensor, so that's all routed through now too. So I'll start ripping this, pulling this tape off this. I might have to undo some zip ties at the bottom to get some more slack back into this. And I'll get this cloth tape taken off and route everything again. Alrighty, so I can snip this plug off now because that's useless to me. And the black wire goes to my earth harness here. Then I just need to go, what I said for the dash, for the reverse camera earlier, is the red goes to the 12 volt and the white goes to SPI 1. So I just got to figure out which is SPI 1. Then the reverse camera plug. All I need to do is put a new amp connector on black wire, and that goes on 789, which is the top right corner if I look at it that way. So that's pin 9 right there. So 9, 8, 7. So that one's easy, and yeah, let's get this done. So starting to pin out the flex sensor. So we want 12 volt output, pin 12, which is, if that's 9 at the very top, come on camera. So if that's 9 at the top left, top right, then 10, 11, 12, pulled that one out. Then we want SPI 1, pin 33. Yeah, SPI 1, pin 33. So it's a 34 pin connector, so obviously it's just the second last one is pin 33. Then signal ground, which is already pinned, which is this one here. So I just got to tap into that one for my signal ground. I'll just tap in halfway or something, or maybe just redo those 2 into that, and do 3 into that, into 1 crimp maybe. And then these have just got to go in, oh, no, these ones. So I crimped on my new black terminal. They just go in on 7, 8, 9 up in the corner there, which I already pulled out. So, and they go, I think, yeah, black one is 9. So red, yellow, black. Red is 7. Yeah, so just got to fang those in and then we're good. Alrighty, red, yellow, black. Lock tabs are locked in. And those pins are all the way forward, so that should work. Now, what is going on with this autofocus? Now, before I do something silly, I've crimped my terminals on them. I'm just going to double check what the wires are doing at the sensor end so that I don't mess this up, because if you wire these backwards, you kill the sensor. So I'm just going to make sure that, pretty sure red is 12 volt, white is signal, and black is signal ground, but I'll just double check. Alrighty, red's at the bottom, which is VCC, middle is ground, top one is volt. So I will just double check that. V out, sorry. So I'm pretty sure that's 2 ECU. I'll just double check that from the, I'll just look up the, because it's just a Continental sensor, but it's for an Innovate gauge for a Parada Performance Falcon plug-in flex fuel kit, which if anyone wants the rest of this kit, the gauge and stuff, you can have it. So just ask for it in the comments or whatever. I'll post it out to the first person. So then all you'll need is basically a sensor and the plug, and you can fit a flex fuel kit to your car too, but you don't get any adapters, you just get the gauge side. So if you do want that, yell out. Anyway, I'll just double check. So V out is white, ground is black, and VCC is red. So let's just, I'll look up the Haltech wiring guide for their sensor and see what they say is what. So obviously the Haltech one's exactly the same. Just check the wiring diagram. So yeah, VCC is 12 volt, ground is ground, out is yeah, harness side view. We'll just double check that. But yeah, it should be the same because it's literally labeled the same. So we'll just double check again and make sure that is correct. But yeah, we'll just go look at that. So if we were looking at the plug on the sensor, we just want to double check that, yeah, output is on the right and 12 volt is on the left. So output is on the right, 12 volt is on the left. We're good. So let's plug them in. Alrighty, so 12 volt to pin 12 and signal to pin 33. So just double check that. 12 volt to pin 12, SPI 1 to pin 33. Awesome. Alright, just connect the earth and then everything should be good to test. I won't enable the flex sensor anytime soon because I don't know if it'll damage it if there's no fuel in the line or anything. But I will obviously test the reverse camera straight away. Alright, so earth is just going to get crimped to that one and taped up for now because that will be totally fine. And then just sticky taped, well, electrical taped, and then all of that will get obviously harness taped and then we're good. So I will just test everything before I harness tape everything though, but yeah, I'll crimp that now and test everything. Alrighty, earth all crimped beautifully, tape that up and yeah, let's go. Alrighty, so ignition on, just hooking up laptop. Let's just enable the reverse camera, functions, camera input, reset. Now I assume I can flip it and do all sorts of stuff, but alright, so let's put in reverse. Awesome. So that works well. It does distort the image pretty bad, but don't need to flip it or anything. That will probably, I mean, look, it's gonna at least tell me if there's something behind me. I'll probably aim it down a little bit more. But yeah, that works awesome. So then obviously it's just set as like you can flip it or whatever. So, but yeah, that big toolbox is on the left and big little toolbox is on the right, so it doesn't need flipping left to right. Yep. Back to neutral, park, turns off, awesome. Reverse, boom. It takes a second to come on, but that's pretty cool. It'd be cool if there was a bit of a delay. So if you put it back in at first, it takes say like 5 seconds to turn back to the dash. Maybe that might be coming in a future firmware, Haltech, if you're listening. That might be a good idea. Anyway, all right, that works. So let's put this back together properly and tape it all up. So proof of concept, everything works. So let's give this a good tape up and see if we can make that neat. Alrighty, so that's about as neat as it's getting. That will go in there, and I will hook up the Wi-Fi antenna now as well. Okay, so looked in the instructions. This is meant to go on the windscreen or something. I'm definitely not going to do that because that is ugly. So I'm just going to connect it to the back of the dash, and I'm literally just going to hook it onto like here or onto the back of that or something, just so it's tucked out of the way. And I'll just, because I'm only ever going to be using it while I'm sitting in the driver's seat, so I'm pretty sure that will be enough range. Like, I don't think it needs to be mounted on the windscreen or anything. I think that's like if you want to, you know, be outside of the car connecting to the ECU or something. So we'll mount there and see if it works, and if it does, great. If not, then who cares, we're back to where we were. Alright, well, this is kind of handy. So connect it to the dash with no cable. So obviously got the Wi-Fi done, so you just enable Wi-Fi, you go connections, enable Wi-Fi, then I set a name for the Wi-Fi network and set a password. Then I clicked apply to whatever, and it said it linked it to my computer, which it did. So down on my Wi-Fi settings, it's connected to Bento Dash. It automatically put the password in for me. And I can now, you know, like everything is working via Wi-Fi. So yeah, like it's pretty speedy, so that's pretty handy because now I don't have to try and fumble around putting the USB cable into the front of that. So one thing that they did better in the early dashes was the USB cable went into the back of them, so you didn't have to try and plug the cable in. You could either do what I've done here and just route your cable down there, or you could put your bulkhead or something on your dash and just plug your cable in. But trying to get it in there is a little bit annoying actually, so being able to use Wi-Fi now is actually much handier. Alright, everything's going back in. Let's slap it all back together. Then just got to zippy up all the wiring down here. neaten everything, and then we're good to go. Everything's all secured, pulled down, trim's starting to go back on. I put the back seat back in, but I think I need to pull it back out again to put this trim back in. And I have now taped these so it can't unplug while it's floating around in the boot. I'll zip tie that all up to that factory harness so it doesn't wiggle around. I've got all the excess here. I'll probably end up pulling that actually and leaving the excess in just tucked under the back seat. It's probably the best spot to keep all that. Yeah, and then put all these boot trims back in and we're done. Everything is zip tied in up there, tucked away neatly. So, and put that back in, and I've pulled my slack down here. So I'll just bundle that up under the seat. Righty, everything is back to Mickey Mouse. Looking spiffy. All carpet and everything's back in. That's all back on, can shut this. Now I probably need to tilt that down, so I might just quickly tilt that down now. Alrighty, so it's quite tilted down now. And you can see a lot more on the ground, which is good. So see how that goes for a little bit and see if it's useful for me. May need to go back up again, just one click or something, but we'll see how this goes for a couple of weeks. So I preemptively set up a warning for the ethanol. So obviously when the car first starts it does flash up, but yeah, we'll be, might either disable that for now so it doesn't annoy me. It only shows for like a second. That's all I'm going to use it for now anyway. I'm not going to do flex fuel or anything, there's no point. Very rarely going to run this on 98. Maybe if I change injectors and starting again with the VE table, like going through it all on dyno and on street, I might actually rescale it to be flex, but at this point it's just going to be like just a gauge to make sure that I'm actually getting good ethanol. So let's reverse it back up onto the dyno. So oh, reverse camera comes in handy. Boom, nice. Righto guys, thanks for watching the video today. We got all the electrical side of everything done on the car. Probably make another video on that. Fit the fuel rail, figure out what fittings I need, go down to 1320, grab them. Take my turbo drain off, which is pissing the oil out. I'm starting to get annoyed at that. So my car park at my house is just freaking oil everywhere. So pull that oil drain off and go to 1320, match that up to something. So hopefully sort out oil leak and get the flex sensor plumbed in and the Plasma Man fuel rail plumbed in. And that'll be another video. But anyway, thanks for watching guys. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I have entered Lakeside off-street drags in September. I think it's September 12th, maybe, something like that. I don't know. I'll put the thing on the video. So yeah, heading down to Lakeside for some more drags. So it's about 2 months away. So car is basically ready for that again. So I'll just be doing a little bit of faffing about, but the cooler will be getting changed probably before then. So there is some more content coming out before all that happens. So I'm about 4 videos ahead at the moment. So I'll catch you guys on the next video anyway. And thanks for watching guys. Catch you later.